most folks say you have to have hundreds and hundreds of hives in order to have a successful breeding program. And I think the evidence is kind of becoming more and more clear, because I don't have isolation in my apiaries, and I don't have a Page Laidlaw model, if you will, going on, and I'm seeing high VSH in the mating yards, and I'm seeing high VSH where I concentrate those genetics. James Lee with James Lee's Bees. It has been quite some time since I recorded a video. I actually think that I recall starting to record a video back at the end of April. I walked into the bee yard and smugly indicated how well things were going, and then opened up a couple of colonies, and of course bees happened, and it's been just nonstop ever since. I can honestly say that right now, probably not in a situation where things are going smoothly. You know, it's beekeeping, there's always something to do, and I'm behind on this, that, or the other, and ahead on this, that, or the other. But I wanted to post an update as I go through some breeder colonies with freshly inseminated queens, well, fresh being 4th of July weekend, and verifying if they're laying, and talk a little bit about some of the progress that's been made as far as varroa resistance breeding here in Romulus, Michigan, and the Northern Queen Initiative. So let's get right to it. Last year, this yard where these boxes are was actually my mating yard, as I would refer to it, and I had really wonderful results getting returns on queens that were coming back with high varroa sensitive hygiene scores on the Harbo assay. You can see this lot back here. If you recall from any past videos, over there was where I had a lot of the breeding going on, and that particular yard was sold, and those parcels were all pieced out to a developer who hasn't done any developing. However, next to my office where I do one of my hustles, my side hustles, I also have colonies that I've been focused intently on paying attention to that are breeders. So they're closer to where I am more often present and can check regularly. So using the Scalvini cages for inseminated breeder queens, this is what it looks like once they start laying. You can confirm that she's been laying before you let her out into the colony. This is a positive sign, it's what we want to see. This is a F1 daughter from a pole line queen from the USDA breeder stock that we partnered with the Baton Rouge lab to acquire last year. We still are actively producing those F1s, and we crossed this one with some Northern Michigan queen genetics, and she was laying in the Scalvini cage, and this is shortly after being released from the Scalvini cage, and this is her reception. It's interesting too, the rest of this colony that I pulled the frames from also has quite a bit of uncap recap. I simply just made a queenless nuke and then introduced the breeders the next day in a capped queen cage, JZBZ. Allowed them to marinate for a few days, and when it looked like there was a positive reception, inserted her into the Scalvini cage. I've gone through 10 of them so far here in this yard. You can see those up there. And so far, only one of the queens didn't make it, and there were capped queen cells inside the colony. And a couple of them had just started laying or looked like they want to start laying, but they don't have space. or maybe they have not started, so they're going to get an additional CO2 treatment, and then I'm going to leave them in the nucleus colony on the comb instead of back in the scalvini, and let them start laying that way. But yeah, looks like a pretty friendly reception here. She's definitely being submissive. Interestingly, I see this is pretty common with this line of queens. They are like kittens. They lay on the side as if the other workers are milking or nursing. So it looks like we have had pretty good success here. One of them were dead, and then I am going to count scalvinis that are out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That means that they were laying or had just started laying, and one of them looked like they may have had a laying worker, so on some advice, I went ahead and added a frame of brood and a shake of nurse bees, let the queen out of the cage, and placed her into a larger box. And now I just need to go and find a queen excluder to put on the front here of this box right there. And she is out and about, and everybody else is laying. So that bottom one there is where she came from. There are no frames left in there, so those bees will either find another place to go, or they will migrate up top where the queen is, depending on their allegiance, I guess. She was freely moving about the comb with no issues. I will check back before I head out of the yard here. So this is one of the last two that weren't laying. I actually discovered that this one actually had eggs in it. I don't know if you can see that down there in the bottom right corner. So I let her out into the colony, which is a relief because then I don't have to CO2 or gas again, 2 queens. But I did have to gas the other queen, which did not have any evidence of eggs, and the colony looks like it is getting to be pretty broodless, so she needs to get going. I just took a bicycle pump cartridge, CO2 cartridge bicycle pump refill, and bike tire needle, and place the queen into the jar and knock her out for a few minutes. Some people have varying opinions on how long you should knock the queen out. From what I've read, it varies anywhere from 3 minutes to 7 minutes or 9 minutes. I've kind of split the difference. I do 5 or 6 minutes, and let them come to in the jar before you put them back on the frame, because if they smell stinky, the bees may not readily accept her back and start balling her, attacking her. And that's that for the introduction of breeder queens at this yard. As far as the flow is concerned, it is July 19th, I believe, and the flow looks like it's pulling back a little bit. Brooding is definitely pulling back, so it's time to start consolidating nests and giving them adequate space for what is coming in as far as nectar is concerned. Start prepping their winter brood nests. Well, I didn't take too much more footage from the breeder queen releases besides what you've seen here so far. It's the following day, however, and we had clouds for the most part, 3/4 of the day, so I did some work around the house. But I got back out to this yard, the airport yard, the infamous airport yard. I actually haven't been here since June 11th, and thankfully we had a really interesting May. Following splits and requeens, they had a little bit of a delay going on and didn't get up to speed pretty quickly. They actually had a nice little lag, maybe 1 or 2 weeks lag on mating because of a couple of cold snaps that we had here in southeast Michigan. it's been a bit of a blessing because it allowed us to stave off premature swarming because of beekeeper negligence. And it also provided a significant brood break. A lot of those early season mites that would have been in the colony didn't really get that much of a chance to take a good strong hold, and I am systematically getting low mite counts in my biggest colonies. Now, some would say that the mites are all in the brood, and granted, that is probably true. Even if they're not resistant colonies, a good chunk of the mites will be in the brood. But if you have a serious infestation, you're going to have pretty high mite washes on July 20th of a beekeeping year in southern Michigan. So they've all been fairly low and well below thresholds, typical treatment thresholds. But mine is around 5%. That's what I'm going to treat. Let me show you guys some of these colonies. So all of these colonies that you are seeing here were taking they had splits removed essentially. I took bees out and made single nukes and left the colonies to requeen themselves, which means that they pretty much have been full bore since I left them last. I have been through every colony up until that one with the 2 red boxes. I have the rest of those to go. We'll try to tackle those tomorrow. However, there's tons of honey on these colonies. The queens are marked up until that point, thankfully. They were all in the very bottom brood box and sometimes on the last frame. But, you know, this is just another example of an outyard that I have where the honey production is exceptional. The mite loads are low, which is exceptional. And this is a byproduct of a small saturation-based model beekeeping mating paradigm. Now, I say that for the purpose of making sure that people get that most folks say you have to have hundreds and hundreds of hives in order to have a successful breeding program. And I think the evidence is kind of becoming more and more clear because I don't have isolation in my apiaries, and I don't have a Page Laidlaw model, if you will, going on, and I'm seeing high VSH in the mating yards, and I'm seeing high VSH where I concentrate those genetics. Dr. John Harbaugh posits that it is an additive genetic. It's not necessarily recessive or dominant, and the more of it that is prevalent, the more it's added to the existing population. So you have local bees plus that mite resistance component. Your degree of success is only going to be dependent on your willingness to actually undergo assays, do mite washes, and even if it's just low varroa growth and you're not doing a Harbaugh assay, you're doing mite washes and keeping the bees and breeding from the bees that keep the mite loads down, you're going to see success. There's a caveat there too. You've got to be doing mite washes on a recurrent basis in order to develop a trend. And if you're not doing that and you're just treating, well then you're not necessarily doing the bees a service or yourself a service. You're just doing status quo, you know, and you're going to continue to have susceptible bees and you're going to continue to miss the unsusceptible bees. So you don't necessarily know what you're breeding from, and you might get lucky on occasion, but if you're not mite washing, you don't know, and you're just treating without doing washes, again, how are you going to know? Well, that's it for this video. I am going to pack up and head home. Okay, bye.